Hi, everyone. Welcome to another P.A.D. Leg Saver Hotline. I'm here with my amazing co-host, Douglas Salisbury, the chairman of our P.A.D. Warrior Task Force. And Douglas, you had quite the week before we get into our special guest that we have, a little surprise guest today. You had quite the week. And it's
It
so
it
good
was
to
it
see you.
it was it was a little different, yes, but here we are at another amazing Wednesday and another amazing show with some amazing guests
Yep.
and some the learning that we're all doing this year is utterly amazing,
Yep.
and the
Well, I'm glad
technology.
you're out of the hospital and I'm glad you're home with the beautiful, beautiful baby Stella, your amazing dog. Amazing dog. There she is. Oh, Stella. So she's so happy to have you home. And we're glad you're here as well. We have a really great guest for today's P.A.D. Lake Saver Hotline. It's Alexis Robinson. She is a student in Pennsylvania. And I'm so excited that she is actually doing a study on pain and chronic illness and the conversations with your doctor. Your doctor is brushing you off, or how do you most effectively communicate the pain? How do you think your doctors are understanding it? All that jazz. So, welcome, Alexis. I think you could probably explain a little bit better what we're looking for, but those who are here, Thomas and Jim and Heinz and Marina and Beth and Dean and all of the above, even you, Douglas, I'm sure she would love to hear your perspectives when she explains to you what she's looking for to get the conversation going. Would love to have all of you participate in her research. But Alexis, welcome, welcome, welcome.
Welcome.
So much for having me. It's a pleasure. So,
So tell us a little bit more about yourself and your research that you're doing.
yeah. So I'm a senior at Lycoming College in Williamsport, PA. I'm a sociology major. I hope to continue my work in nonprofit. I was a previous intern and volunteer for the National Pancreas Foundation. I actually have chronic pancreatitis myself. So my
Mm,
research in looking for how to communicate pain better with those pain scales that we all love, ranking our pain 1 to 10. How to better and effectively communicate with our providers about what pain we're experiencing with chronic illnesses. It's a very huge topic in the chronic illness community about how do we assess our pain? How do we communicate it? What language, what descriptions do we use? And does our physicians actually assess that pain representatively and accurately to what we experience with chronic illness pain?
It's interesting because I just had a patient that I was on the phone with his wife last night. And with PAD, when you're laying down and you're in advanced PAD, which is called critical limb ischemia or chronic limb threatening ischemia, you have Charlie horses that wake you up at night. I mean, your legs literally, right? And I'm seeing some nodding heads. I mean, your legs go cold and they throb, and you get these Charlie horses in your calf. And for this one patient, the wife was saying that his toes would even, just go completely pale. And so he sits up at night, right? So he doesn't even lay down in bed. So he's in the hospital right now. They called our hotline, in the hospital right now. He won't lay in bed because he gets too many Charlie horses. So he sits up all the time, ending up with bed sores on his back because he's just sitting in this chair the entire time. In order, because it's better than just having to dangle your legs off the side of your bed and get these Charlie horses, right? And then having to dangle. And so the doctors aren't taking him as seriously, right? Because he's not laying in bed and letting his feet turn because he doesn't want to experience the Charlie horses. So he tells the doctor, "No, I'm not experiencing the Charlie horses." Right? You ask the right question, you get the right answer, but the doctor wasn't asking the right question, which is, okay, when you lay down, do you get Charlie horses? Why are you sitting up? Instead, it's just like, do you get Charlie horses? No, I'm not getting Charlie horses right now. Well, of course not, because he's sitting up. So, I think that that's just one thing I wanted to express when it comes to PAD. You have to ask the right questions to get the right answers from these patients, right?
Yes. And a lot of previous research done with pain scales or pain severity with people in chronic illnesses, they don't ask the right questions in their surveys. So the research is not only academically important to me, but personally, as somebody with a chronic illness. So with my research, I really want to go to these physicians and be like, let's reassess how you rate your patient's pain and how do you provide their pain accurately and take them seriously. A misconception with chronic pancreatitis is that we are alcoholics or, we're just seeking drugs for narcotics because the pain is so severe. But I think the real underlying issue is that we need better assessment for pain within various chronic illnesses, even PAD, CP, cystic fibrosis, all of those sorts of disease that cause pain and decrease your quality of life.
Can I share? This is when I knew we were going to have this subject, my first thought was, as a patient, how hard is it sometimes to describe what I'm feeling to get the doctor to understand? Well, you know what rumble strips are? It feels like rumble strips. You know what? Pulling a rubber band. How do I describe and how getting that doctor to understand what my pain really does feel like?
Yeah,
That
you've been
can
dealing
be
with that lately, haven't you, Douglas? You've really, I think you describe your pain perfectly, and they still brush you off, and that's what makes it hard. It's you could describe it even perfectly, and if they just don't know what to do about it, and they can't give you more medication, pain medication, they just kind of go, okay, well, good luck
that
to
was
you.
that was the look I got from the Boston lady Thursday when I had to go to ICU. My defibrillator's acting up, and it's like somebody's calling me. It's like a phone to vibrating in my chest, and she just looked at me and said, "I have no idea what you're saying, and they're not supposed to do that." Well, that's what I'm feeling. So trying to get them to understand what that pain. My defibrillator went off 3 days after my heart surgery. How do I explain that pain to a doctor what it really feels like? How
Yeah.
do
How
I get
did you explain it?
it was they say it's like getting kicked by a mule. I've been hit in the head with a 4x4. It was worse than that. So it's like it was it was it was wild. And how do we describe our PAD to a doctor? How do I describe that pain when I feel that claudication? What does it feel like? So he understands what I'm feeling.
Does it feel like? Let's open it up. What does PAD feel like? What is that pain like? How would you guys describe it? If you were going to do first a scale of 1 to 10, when you're feeling those Charlie horses when you're walking, what does that feel like to you?
12.
Marina, it was a 12.
Yeah, it's debilitating. It knocks me over.
Can you
And
describe the moment? Can
yeah,
you describe,
Um,
yeah, what you actually are going through in that moment?
Tears. No, it's very, very painful. If I don't stop when I feel the pain, I try and walk through, But if I go past like a 5 or a 6, if I don't stop at that moment, it just shoots to so painful that and in both legs, I can't walk. My husband, if he's with me, he almost carries me. It's terrible, but it doesn't last long. But
so
it's debilitating.
you have the physical, but what about the psychological? How does that affect the whole outcome in your feeling at that moment?
At that moment, I can't think. I'm tearing up. I can't think. I'm in so much pain. There's no thinking. Afterwards, it's just, I should have stopped sooner. But that's how it is for me anyways.
I almost feel like you're saying that also you almost black out in that moment. Like it
I
just
mean,
just clogs your brain, fills your brain, and all you're
yeah,
seeing is just a flash of white before you.
And I mean, I can't talk. My husband will say, let me help. Don't talk to me. Don't, yeah, I just can't talk. I just need to sit, you know, it's terrible. I mean, I'm a real bitch, you know, but I'm in pain and I can't handle that level of pain.
So how do you describe that to your doctor? How have you described it, and what was their interaction with you following in response?
My previous doctors, it wasn't, they weren't asking about the pain, and it was how far can you walk? How far can you walk? That was all they ever asked me before I have the pain. You know, how far can you walk? This new doctor, he seems to be, I mean, more aware, you know, of the pain that I have, but it's again, how far can you walk? There's a lot of that, you know.
But they don't dig into the breadth or depth of the pain that you're experiencing when you get to the point of no return.
Right. And I really think that they think I'm exaggerating or bullshitting, you know, excuse the language, but that's the impression I get. You know, oh, well, yeah, it hurts. Yes, it does. You know, so. It's very
Seriously,
painful.
go ahead, Douglas.
So I think that's where Alexis, that's where some of that disconnect is coming from, in it, trying to get the doctors to understand so that they may, if we could explain it better, would that give them more knowledge of what to look for and to ask those questions that need to be asked? Does that pain, is it only in your hip? Is it in your quad? Is it in your knee? How do your toes feel? How does your ear feel? I mean, so is that what we're looking at here, to figure out how to make that better for all of us?
I mean, in my research, I'm really looking to see how patients communicate. So, like those metaphors, like being kicked by the mule you said earlier, that's really what I think doctors need to hear in order for them to take your pain seriously. As somebody with a chronic illness perspective, I think those 1 to 10 pain scales, we need to add 11 to 15 on there, because R3 could be a normal person without PAD there, because it could be their 3-level pain. You know, our pain with chronic illness is completely different in severity and experiences and expressions versus people who don't have a chronic illness. So I really want to see what descriptions rather are we using to describe our pain to physicians, and are they taking it seriously, or do we have to exaggerate our pain even more than it is for them to take us really seriously and be like, okay, you're in serious pain, let's assess you, let's give you the actual treatment that you need, instead of kind of just saying, okay, turning my head the other way. You know, yes, I know you're in pain, it's a 10, but it's tolerable. But for us, it's unbearable. We can barely speak, like Marina said, or barely even think. You just black out in the moment.
Yep. What about you, Thomas?
I'm pretty much in the same boat. But the one good thing with my specialists and surgeons and cardiologists now, they all know my pain, and they know what I mean. They can tell me I'm in pain if I don't even tell them, because like my blood pressure, it spikes way up there, 190 to 200, and the first thing out of the mouth is, "Are you in pain?" I was like, "Are you sure?" I said, "Yeah, I'm in pain." But the thing is, when I first had this, trying to explain the pain to a doctor, they looked at me like I was stupid, you know, and I didn't want to get into an argument with them. I was like, well, okay, I guess you lot know best. You know, that's why I ended up going through 5, 6 different people, diagnosed with hip problems. Then it was my spine. Then it was something else, you know. And then I come across this doctor that was a primary physician. He told me, he said, I believe you have PAD. And he understood the pain. And then it went from there. But even when I was in the hospital for that crazy first bypass, they just wouldn't listen to it. You know, I was in there for 3 days before they did anything. And I was trying to get up to go and walk down the passageway. They wouldn't let me out of the bed. They said, "You're a fall risk." I said, "But I can walk. I need to walk a bit, you know, because I was cramping up real bad. But for pain, there's nothing they can give me for pain that takes it away. You know, I get to the point, I don't know if I want to go run away and hide, get really annoyed with everyone in the neighborhood. You know, it has got to that stage now, and it bites both legs now, Kym. You know, it's not just a while, it's a pair of them. And like, even if I'm just standing there, putting something in a pot or stood there for like a couple of minutes, my legs get so bad that I can't move at all on them. You know, and I got to feel my way around the house and go sit down. Even sitting down, that don't work for me. So I got a little coffee table and I put both my legs up on that, and it helps a bit. It helps me if I stretch them a little bit. I don't know if that makes any sense. I don't know if it releases whatever, but it helps me a little bit. But in the morning time and through the night, I can't get up and walk around. I got the lights on, you know what I mean? So I'll get up and I'm sure I'll wake the neighbors up at times as well, you know. I'll come and sit outside. It just, I don't know.
I got a
It's
question,
really,
Thomas.
yeah.
Yeah, how does it feel when you trying to explain to a doctor and the doctor says, take 2 aspirin, call me in the morning, compared to trying to explain to your doctor your pain and he goes, well, we need to do an ABI, we need to do this, because you feel like he actually heard you
Yeah,
and he understands your pain instead of saying, well, it's just your back, go rest, take
yeah,
2 aspirins, and we'll see you in 6 months.
right. But when they ask me about my pain, how it feels, I tell them, I says, go get a vice, a wood vice, and stick your calf in it and keep tightening it, tightening it, tightening it until you can't tighten it no more. I said, that's my pain level. Oh, but a lot of them did understand because some of them knew about P.A.D, just not the procedures and stuff. They only knew the
Yeah.
bypassing. But with Dr. Walker and all his people, even at his other places in Lafayette and all that, they'll tell me I'm in pain. You know, because my blood pressure, and they can see it in my eyes. Kym will tell you that. If I'm in a lot of pain, she'll tell you, I see it in your eyes. You know, and it just, I don't know.
How many of you
It's
have
a hard
actually been
thing.
told that you're literally just, you're just whining. Just suck it up, buttercup. It's not
Yep.
that bad. Come on, just walk through it. You're fine. Don't be
And
don't be
But
such a pansy.
and I can share
no, I
this
did.
story.
I had a doctor tell me that when he come in, when I went to see him about my peripheral artery disease, before I changed my primary care physician, an Indian doctor, I was sat in there and he came in and asked me how I was. I said, I'm in pain. He's like, oh, where are you? And I told him exactly where it was. And then he went out and he came back in. He said, it's such and such pain. You just got to suck it up, buttercup. That's exactly what he told me.
That's why I said it.
So
Yep.
the next time of the appointment, that's when before I see my new doctor, they had kind of figured out, well, maybe it's artery issue or whatever when it wasn't my back. So I had to go back there for my last appointment. And when he come in, he said, how are you? I said, I'm sucking it up, buttercup. And I had enough,
Oh,
Kym. I'm Kym,
I
you know me, I'm
bet.
not. And he just left. And that was when I changed my doctor. I mean, there was no need for all of that with him, you know? And he was one that just didn't care if you were in pain or not. I'll go home, take some Tylenol or something like that. I said, well, do take the bottle of them. You know, but the thing is, there's no pain medicine, Kym, that takes away, certainly not my P.A.D pain. Both legs. I mean, it just,
So
I don't think
Alexis,
that I've ever heard of any. I really honestly have not heard. I know a lot of people are prescribed gabapentin for their pain, but I've never had anyone tell me that anything definitively works with a tourniquet tied around your leg, cutting off all circulation with your nerves screaming and muscles and tissues dying.
yeah.
I mean, nothing seems to cut that pain. I think, Marie, you would even agree. Nothing
Well,
seems
that's what
to
I was
work.
going to say. I'm on 600 milligrams of gabapentin 3 times a day. it does not help with the pain of no blood flow. Only thing it helps with is when they've cut your nerve so many times, you get that it's like somebody has a plug in the wall and they cut the wires and they're taking the other end and they're just zapping you with it. Gabapentin will help with that, but it will not touch the pain of a blocked artery.
Nope.
Marie, how do you explain to your doctors, and how have you explained to your doctors the pain that you're in, and what was the reaction?
Well, the reaction was actually pretty good since the doctors, you've gotten me to. But I tell them literally, if they were to take a tourniquet, put it at their groin, up at the hip, tighten that bitch up, leave it on for 24 hours and get up the next day and tell me you can walk. And that's what we have to walk with every day. A lot of
What's the
doctors
response?
get it,
Was there any response that stood out?
Before you, I mean, I went to U of M, they were going to cut it off.
Yeah.
None of my other doctors, they all basically the same thing Thomas was saying, is we're like, oh, it can't be that bad, you're overreacting. When you walk in with, or you don't even walk in, you get wheeled in with your toes turning purple and black. What do you mean it's not that bad? I don't get it.
Marie, can you hear the different questions from when the doctors you had before and the doctors you hear now?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. Huge difference. Huge difference.
And that's how they listen to you?
Yes. And first time ever happened today is even with, I love Dr. Saab. I love Dr. M so much. I wish I could have M back, everything. But Dr. Mawad's office is the first time that they called me today and they said, hey, it's been 3 months. Do you want to come in or do you want to wait? I was like, wow, really? And she goes, yeah, if you want to come in, we want to make sure we can schedule an ultrasound before you see doctor. All right,
that's
yeah,
great.
get me in. I've never had a doctor call and ask me, hey, do you want to come in?
I'm so proud of you.
I am so happy.
Well, it's no wonder, but Dr. Muad is the global PAD Doctor of the Year, and now we see why.
Yep, they did an article on him in Newsweek. Everything. He is. He's all that. He's what they say he is.
So, Alexis,
have you heard these?
Alexis, have you heard these stories and what you're dealing with, and what with pancreatic cancer? Do you hear some of the same similarities?
Yes, I do apologize. My fire alarm is actually going off. So I'm just quickly switching locations. But yes, with pancreatic cancer, I have, heard these same things with doctors saying, oh, well, with pancreatic cancer, it is such a shortened life expectancy, and it is such a rare diagnosis to even really see the symptoms off right away. So I do hear similar things with pancreatic cancer, and especially with pediatrics being diagnosed with chronic pancreatitis. They just say, oh, no, it's just chronic constipation. Oh, it's just acid reflux. The pain isn't that bad. And it leads to those misdiagnoses and physicians not taking their pain that seriously.
How hard was this for you? Yeah, go ahead, Kym.
No, I just, I'm not even sure how to eloquently word this. It's just that I think because we're not, I agree. I'm not sure that a scale of 1 to 10 is really solving the problem, but I'm not sure what is really going to resolve that issue, because if a doctor doesn't have a solution for you, and a timely solution for you, then you're going to get brushed off no matter what. And for people who have PAD, there is no medication, as Marie said, that seems to curb that incredible pain once you get to critical limb ischemia. And so I think that maybe you guys can answer that. Do you think that maybe these doctors are looking the other way because they just don't have an answer for you?
Well, my experience with my axial bifemoral bypass, I agree with Thomas. I would love to take a 2x4 or 4x4, put it on my doctor's right leg in his groin area, and sit on it and let him see how that feels. Because that's what I experience every day, 24 hours a day. And to be able to have him understand that is the dilemma. And what, so I went back to that same doctor, told him what I was experiencing when it failed, and he said, "Well, I had one job to do. I got blood. Sorry, that's it. See you later."
Yeah.
And that's
So
what he
that just
told me.
furthers, yeah.
So it's like I'm living with
And
this
then they wonder
24
why
hours.
people don't trust doctors.
Well, that's it. And why?
What's more that
That,
you don't want to go and you delay going, right, Douglas?
yeah, where I say,
This
where I
is
say,
Jim. Can I
yeah,
say something?
yeah.
Can
Go
you
ahead,
guys hear
Jim.
me? Sorry about
Welcome.
the photo. I can't get my Teams on my iPhone, so I'm on
Hi,
my
Jim.
desktop. Hi Kim. How are you? So
Fantastic.
I've been meaning to contact you and it's describe to you my experience, but let me talk a little bit about pain. The first time I had uh, the P.A.D. an episode was just about a year ago, and I'm an avid walker and runner, and for the year 2024 up through August, I walk almost 100 miles a month. And I made 800 miles through August. I was hoping to make, 1,200 by the end of the year. But I could feel that my legs, especially my calves, felt like they were going to cramp up, because I run a lot. And when you think you're going to cramp because you say, okay, maybe I'm dehydrated or something like that. And it was one episode, happened just about a year ago, and I just couldn't walk anymore. And the way that I described it to my doctor, my PCP first, I told him that it felt like my calves were tightening, it was near cramping, and it was painful to walk the last 5 blocks. I live in New York City, so I measure blocks, and I also have a GPS watch. So to walk that last half mile was painful. I didn't think I was going to make it home. I was looking around and seeing if someone could help me just to get home. 5 blocks away, that's not too far. But that's the worst I've ever felt.
Wow.
And I've also had a condition where I had open heart surgery on October 19th, just last year. So I had a case of endocarditis, that's bacteria in the blood, plus the PAD.
Yeah.
So I had quite a time with my health, and using my GPS watch, and after recovering from a heart surgery, going through rehab and all that, I started walking in January, and using my GPS walk, I can only walk to the end of the block, stop, come back again, stop, and it's going back and forth a little bit each time. Today I walked 2 miles plus without stopping. So
Oh,
the
good for you.
recipe for success, at least from all the stuff that I've read, looking at the emails, inputs from Facebook and all that, walking helps out a lot, big time. The most I've walked since I've had this condition was 3 miles plus. Today was just 2 miles, was taking it nice and easy. But the only thing that I have, even though my calves feel a lot better without so much pain, there's a little pain, but not as painful as the initial time, is the bottom of my feet. And my feet feels very sore after about a mile and a half. It's unbearable, but I'm thinking, okay, maybe I have to build collaterals in my feet.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if that's
Yep.
true or not.
It
Walking
absolutely.
through pain, yeah.
So, have you noticed? This is a good question for all of us to really. One of my favorite questions to ask is, not only does this affect us physically, but it affects every area of our life, doesn't it?
It definitely does, but I have a positive attitude.
Yeah.
I'm a widow. I'm by myself, and my kids come by every now and then. But I make it an effort to do what I have to do. And, when I walk, I use, I don't put things in my ear. I wear what they call a knock gear. It's a speaker that's connected to to my iPhone. I put it on my hat and I walk and I still have situational awareness. So I'm not, I could hear what's going on, when I'm walking. So I use that for pleasure and walking. It makes walking a lot easier. I'd have to disagree with what I heard earlier today about don't wear these things, don't listen to music. I don't know. I don't kind of agree with that. Yeah.
That was Kevin. That's on our
Yeah.
Collateral Nation. Yeah, he just doesn't want, because he saw someone get hit by a bus by having the earbuds in and they didn't see the bus and they walked right into it.
Yeah, mine aren't earbuds. It's a speaker that I have.
Yeah.
I put on my baseball cap and I just walk, and it makes it so much pleasurable. Even though I'm walking through pain, I measure my distance by using my GPS watch and by the length of the song. So I know I'm making progress.
I'm sure walking in New York is different than where I walk out here in the country.
Yeah,
So
probably
there
so.
is a big difference.
Yeah.
Did you find it counterintuitive? I mean, because you were very active before, you had walked and run a lot and all that jazz, very, very active, that when you did experience that terrible, terrible cramp, which normally you would say, oh my gosh, do not walk through that. You're going to get injured if you walk through or run through that cramp like that the doctor would say, no, you gotta walk through that. Like, that's how you're going to improve.
Well, that didn't happen. Well, here's part of the other story. When I first noticed the pain in my calf muscles and all that, I contacted my PCP. Okay, he asked me to describe the pain. I described it to him. So he said, "Go see what they call a vascular cardiologist," and I did. So I spoke to him for one appointment. Next one, he did all these tests, including the ABI tests and all that. So they said, you have P.A.D based upon the testing that it did. They did a series of 3 different tests. One was the ABIs, and that was part of it. I saw a neurologist, I saw an oncologist, hematologist, because a lot of things going on with my endocarditis, bacteria in the blood. And that's the second time I had open heart surgery in 8 years because of bacteria in the blood. So you talk about pain, it was open heart surgery. They cut you right in the chest. It happened to me twice. So I know a little bit about pain. So if I have to compare that pain with the P.A.D, that one particular episode with P.A.D, and it beats everything else. I mean, I didn't think I was going to make it home. And
Really?
Absolutely. Yeah. Then when that happened in October, just last year. And with that, I was having, I take detailed diaries, and I was writing down that I had night sweats and I felt fatigued and tired. So I entered the emergency room back on October the 5th. And my cardiologist at that time said, "Why'd you go to the ER? Why?" Because my PCP said to go, and 2 other doctors said for me to go. So when I heard that, he questioned why I went to the ER. It was due to the fact that I had cramping in the leg, plus I was fatigued and I had night sweats. The night sweats were actually a fever. And when I was in the hospital I was in there for like 4 weeks. The first 2 weeks, I had temperatures over 100 degrees, like 7 times. So I had a fever. So they couldn't figure out what was causing the fevers. And my cardiologist, my original one, my first one at New York Presbyterian, said that there are forms of endocarditis which are undetectable in the blood. And he said that's what I had because they couldn't figure it out. I went through every single imaginable test at the hospital that I was going to originally, and they couldn't figure it out. They had to do what they call a TEE, transesophageal echocardiogram, twice to determine that my heart valve was being chewed up, the one that they put in, the bovine one. So they had to put in another one. So with that, I decided to change my cardiologist. I'm seeing Dr. Parikh at New York Presbyterian, and he told
Great
me about what
doctor.
he's a great doctor. He told me what
Yeah.
he could do, and he talked about the durability. There's no guarantee that they're going to last a long time. So reading about what other doctors have said that you've had on your show and all of that, durability is absolutely a question that I have. And
Yeah.
he said, you can keep on walking. We'll see how you go. And that's why I'm walking my ass off.
Good for
I'm
you.
set for another set of the ABI testing in January and see what I want to do. But based upon all the inputs that I've heard, I'm not going to go for any stents or angioplasties or anything like that, as long as I can keep on walking. I'll walk through the pain. You know, that's my choice. But to have a quick fix that might last for a year or two, it doesn't appeal to me. You know, I'm 71 years old. I'm retired, and I don't want to have to go through this. Plus,
Yeah, I
when
know.
I go through all this stuff, you know, second heart surgery, my kids came from Seattle, from St. Louis to take care of me. I can't imagine if that happened another time or something else.
But it's
So
still that PAD pain you said was the worst out of all of it.
that one episode, I walked through pain. I could feel it, but you know what? I have no other choice. Basically, I don't want to go through any intervention. I want to build those collateral somehow.
Good for
They're
you.
working, and they're working. You
They're
know.
working for you.
Excellent.
That's the best
Yeah.
Excellent.
way.
But the
And
question I
Heinz,
have is with the soreness on the bottom of my feet. I'm seeing my podiatrist again for the second time in 6 months. Will the collaterals be built in the bottom of the feet? Because that's where it feels like, you know, I'm sore feet.
you can definitely build them there. And if you look at the YouTube channel for Fit Old Dog, so youtube.com/the Fit Old Dog, he has a couple of exercises that you might want to start doing yoga toes. And I literally, I sit here, I'm even standing here right now, and I'm clawing my toes against the bottom of my shoes. I have a wide toe box, and I know Douglas does it as well. Ever since he taught, I literally stretch my toes out, and I just kind of lightly scrape them against the bottom of my shoe, and I can feel it in the top of my foot, and I can feel it in my calf when I'm doing that. I know everyone's doing it right now. I know it. I see the look on Alexa's face. She's totally Marina's doing it too. I can totally tell. But it's seriously, you start Beth, yes, I see it. So you can't help but do it, but now it's going to become a habit. And it literally helps to grow these collateral vessels. And the other one was the P.A.D 100, where you treat your foot like, you know, I don't know what the name of the mammal or whatever, that fish or whatever that he described this as, but I look at it as an octopus where you kind of go like this with your toes and your ankle forward and back. And so he calls it the P.A.D 100. And so that's another thing that you can actually do to help improve circulation. And he says to do it 100 times before you get out of bed.
Yeah.
So,
Just to
Alexis, is this what you're
Well, I
hearing
think
from
Heinz too.
our Heinz? Heinz, you got a question?
I want to answer Alexis's ultimate question here. And basically, it's like, for me, it was like the worst Charlie horse you could ever get. Now, I had doctors, when I explained it, they knew right away what it was. I had very good doctors. I still have good doctors. The pins and needles when I'm sleeping, when the blood's not rushing to the feet, makes me jump out of bed. I don't have that anymore. I mean, for the last year, I've got minor claudication, but I'm walking through it. But still, when I had it in my worst case, it was the worst Charlie horse you could ever get. And when I would walk, I'd walk till I got a 4 out of 5 pain or 8 out of 10, however you want to relate that. And then with that, nighttime, jumping out of bed, you know, because of no blood flow to the foot, I should say, not feet. And all that was eventually fixed. But related to that is not just your calf or your foot. When you walk through the pain, at least me, I started limping. That brought on other problems. Doctor, why is my hip hurting? Are you limping? Yes. Stop limping, you know. So
Yeah, that's
hopefully
helpful.
that
Thanks,
answers your
Captain
question.
Obvious.
Does. So I have another question for everyone, I guess. Do you see yourself describing your pain differently to your physician versus, your caregivers, your spouse, family, friends, loved ones that
Good question.
ask you, what's your pain? Or they generally are curious, especially with chronic illnesses, they don't know what it's like, even though we do hear sometimes, I know it's hard, I know it's painful, but how do you describe your pain to your physicians versus your loved ones?
What do you think, Beth?
Me, I just my partner here at the house, he knows the kind of pain that I'm in. He sees it, he lives with me or we live together, so he sees it every day and so he knows. And I let the doctors know exactly how it is here at home even. So yeah, that's how it is for me. I mean,
How do you describe it, Beth?
it's the pain is it's hard to explain. Um because I don't even know where to begin really to explain it because
Do
you get the cramping, and I don't remember who said it, but it's like they have to lay down and stretch out, sometimes, and that
Thomas.
helps. Thomas, yeah, that makes it feel better, Um, I'll get cramps, sitting, and I'll have to get up and I'll start walking around, and um, it's it it's tightening, and it's excruciating when those cramps start. Um, it's
Is
I've
it
had
harder
more
to
than that.
explain to a family member than it is to your doctor? My brother looked at me like I was an idiot. He's like, "What? Yeah, no. What are you talking
I
about?
think
I think
You're
it's
it
harder.
amazing."
depends on the family member. I think it depends on the family member, because
Yes.
there are family members that do understand what you're going through because they see you. And then there's those family members that aren't around you and they do is hear what you're going through, so they don't actually know or see what you're going through, and they're thinking, yeah, she's got this going on again, and when's it going to stop, and this and that. So I mean, but I just let it go. I mean, I don't let those family members that want to, I don't let them get to me.
Thinking
Kim, my
that
dad knows
the
what it means when I hurt.
Yeah,
Yeah.
your dad certainly. So does your son know. One of your
Um,
sons knows
yeah.
too. But I think that she's asking that if you're describing to a family member about your pain, does it come out in more of a I can't do this, I can't do that, versus it feels like the worst Charlie horse I've ever experienced?
I think for some of that might be that I think are they are they maybe they're thinking I'm using this as an excuse not to do this or an excuse not to
Yeah.
go there. And why can't you pay your?
I've been
Why
told
can't
that
you
I'm a hyper
work?
even. I've been
Why
told I'm a
haven't you?
hypochondriac because of this,
Right.
and it's like, no, you take my pain for just 24 hours and you'll experience what I could go through. And I wish some of these people could, because it's excruciating. It's awful. I wouldn't wish it upon my worst enemy.
And a welcome to Anne. Anne, you can join the conversation. We're wondering how about pain and how you would describe pain to a family member or a friend for PAD versus your doctor, and if you would explain it differently. So you're welcome to join the conversation when you're ready. But I'm curious from Heinz, in the meantime, how do you describe your pain to your wife versus you do your doctor?
She had to witness it. In the early stages, we were both puzzled what was going on. And I just kept saying it felt like Charlie horses, and I can't walk anymore. It's like I can't do stuff. Doesn't hurt when I stop, but it sure hurt when I was walking. And that's the same thing I told the doctors also. I didn't deviate from saying much, but of course she started seeing my foot turn a different color, and that got a little scary. So it was more appearances versus the pain feeling that got us both a little worried.
Like Marina, your husband, wonder how would he describe what he's experienced with you and what he goes through?
He would just shake his head, Doug. You know, I've been going through this for a year next month. And, you know, before that, I mean, I had leg pain, one leg, but it wasn't that bad. I'd stop 30 seconds and I'd continue. And since last October, it just became, you know, crippling. I mean, we don't do anything because, you know, until I joined and found you guys in June or July, I didn't know to keep walking, you know, so I would stop. So if we were doing anything, I would have to stop the whole group. It was terrible. So I stopped doing anything. Say, no, go without me, because I can't walk. I can't walk 25 feet, you know? It was terrible. But I think he's very patient. He knows I'm in pain. He sees that I'm in pain. You know, he sees me that I can't continue. So he's good. He's really good with me. He's really patient.
And Alexis, I was wondering, what are you hearing from the doctor side? What so far have you heard from the doctor side about what they're expecting, maybe what they do expect from us in describing this, and what are you hearing from their side?
Yeah, that's a good question. So with my research now, I'm mostly focusing on patients, but I hope when I go to graduate school next year that I continue this research and then I get the physician side. And I actually attended Pancreas Fest this past summer. So it's a bunch of doctors and researchers who come together and talk about how to improve care for patients. And one of the topics was pain. And I spoke up and I said, how do you guys tailor to your patients when they say they have pain, when they have multiple chronic illnesses and it debilitates their life? They can't even get out of bed because they're in so much pain. And when you ask them, what's your pain scale on like 1 to 10, and they say 10, what's your response to that? And, you know, a lot of them just said, oh, well, I direct him to the ER. And what's that good? You know, when you get to the ER, then those doctors don't know you personally and they don't know your case. They're just the fellows or residents in the ER that pass you along, admit you, you know, and then they think those assumptions come in like, oh, you're just drug seeking, alcoholic, you know. And I said, well, that's not effective. And there was other patients there, and, you know, we all agreed that there needs to be research done about physicians' side about how do you assess your pain and how can that be improved. So I really hope to, you know, put my research in there in grad school and turn it over to the physician side based on what I get from patients' perspective on their physicians for my undergrad research now.
What more can we do to help you get through and to learn more other than participating with us on like a regular basis? This is a great conversation for us to learn how to share that information with our doctors and with our families.
Yeah, I think that's a great question too. I've talked to a lot of support groups on different chronic illnesses. This one I've been with chronic pancreatitis. I'm on central pain syndrome next week, which I'm very excited for to hear about what they go through as well and how their pain is tailored to them and their physicians. But to help me, I guess, is participate in the research. You know, it's all anonymous. I believe Kym has the flyer and stuff she posted on the group yet. I could be wrong.
I posted it with this because I wanted more people to come here because I think that this is also helpful and it's a video that'll be out there. And
Yeah. Thank you.
but I can actually, do you want to share the link in the chat here? So for those
I
who are
can.
here, and then also, if you don't mind, our amazing YouTube producer, Joshua, can share on our YouTube channel, youtube.com/the @ the way to my heart. He can share that participation form with a little information as to what it is, so people know what they're getting into, what the research is about. Josh, if you don't mind. But make sure while you're there on the YouTube channel, make sure you like and subscribe to the channel for more great content like this. Smile and click the notifications button.
Yeah.
um so I think you bring up a really good point in terms of, I see now where you're going. It's really hard, kind of in the beginning with asking the question when it comes to pain, and really trying to see where you're going kind of with this research, what you want patients to say, what you want, in a sense, the doctors to say. And I see kind of now where you're going, that so many of these patients, if they do say that they have a high level of pain, the doctor in front of them isn't handling it. The specialist isn't handling it. They are saying, go to the emergency room and go get medication, right?
Yeah.
If you want expedited care and you want to get out of pain now, I can't help you today. I
Exactly.
am booked, for example, the hospital that one of the patients I mentioned in the beginning is at, he doesn't have OR time till next week. So he can't do anything for this patient until next week. So he's stuck with, pain medications, right? And until then, a lot of these doctors are limited by space in the cath lab, space in the OR, for whatever procedure may be necessary to get rid of that pain. And so they're saying, I can't help you right now. I can't do anything for another week. So go ahead and go to the ER. And what do they do in the ER? They go ahead and give you pain medication. And maybe if they think it is a real emergency, life or limb on the line, I'm seeing more and more of that, where just because you're in pain doesn't mean it's an emergency. So we'll give you pain medications, get you stabilized, send you home. And what happens? Cycles right over. That's what happened to my dad with his hip replacement, that he went for 3 months in debilitating pain that would bring a grown man, captain in the military, to tears. I mean, seeing his eyes swell up, and just, I couldn't believe that they were leaving him in pain. But there are so many people that need hip replacements and only limited OR time. What else are you going to do? So they would say, well, you know what? If you're in pain, go to the ER. I can't get you in for 3 months. If there's another doctor, whomever it might be a fellow, you can go to the ER and see what they'll do. But I
And
can't help you.
as a patient, that's something I need to be aware of, because I left the hospital yesterday, and 5 days in the hospital, and they said, well, see your doctor in Houston, but he says we're going to transfer you to the other one. So by the time I get over there, I'm kind of tired, I'm aggravated, I hurt. So I may not be expressing myself completely. And are they going to listen? Are they going to listen? Is this guy going to listen? And sometimes we all feel like we're getting passed around, and we're skipped over a little bit. And P.A.D. is one of those right now out there we're not necessarily on the front line of all the doctor's knowledge and understanding. We're kind of like the redheaded stepchild in some ways, because we're not like cancer, we're not like diabetes, we're not out there like that. So how many of those doctors do know about P.A.D. and what we experience and what we go through?
That's why I wonder sometimes, and just like the patient again from the beginning, that I the wife described it to me last night, that the pain is so bad that he is ready to cut his leg off himself or seek assisted suicide. And when I got that message last night, I got on the phone with the doctor and I was like, we got to do something. I don't think that they understand the gravity of the situation here with this disease. But again, I think a lot of it comes down to, what am I going to do? I don't have solution for you right now. I don't have the OR time. I don't have the cath lab time. I can't do anything but give you pain medication right now. And as Marie said, pain medication with PAD doesn't cut it. Right, Marie?
Yeah, something else that I wonder if you can get the statistics for is how many people with this disease wind up actually committing suicide because they cannot handle the pain.
Yeah.
I will
I
be
remember that Dr.
100%
John
honest.
Phillips,
I mean, Kim,
Dr. John Phillips shared,
I've been this close before because I just couldn't handle it. And I'm sure there's some people that they just, because the doctor couldn't get them in.
Has your pain level changed from where it began, Marie, to like now? Because I think sometimes we get used to a pain level of 6 because we live
I
with
have
that.
no pain tolerance. Kim will tell you, I have like a 0 pain tolerance. I cannot handle any type of pain, none.
see, that's
But
a really good point, Alexis, and that's where I think that also the scale of 1 to 10, that is a great point, Marie, of when a scale of 1 to 10 doesn't work. Because she has
I mean,
0
I
pain
can stub my
tolerance. Where
toe
does
and
that?
I still cry like a baby. I have no pain tolerance, 0. They've known that my whole life. I've never had a pain tolerance.
So it would be, let's say, a 1 on a typical pain scale for the average person, but for Marie, it feels like a 12.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, in all
And
fairness, my toes like to turn purple and black, so it's probably more like a 8, 9, 10 for somebody else too.
And is
Right
that like,
now, the worst for me right now, I mean, even though I'm gonna hate him forever because of what he did, the last surgery I had though, this one has held pretty good, but the pain is becoming a lot more, it's getting there again bad. And the burning is now in both of my feet. And that's one thing that I'm not sure that I'm probably going to need Kim with me when I do see Mawad, is because both Alam and Saab said my right leg needs cleared. According to Mawad, there's not a thing wrong with my right leg. He don't need to touch it ever. But both of my feet are burning.
yeah.
So
and
I'm
that,
Well, we'll
probably
see
going
what
to have to
happens
have
at the
you in that.
next ultrasound, but I'm happy to be, that's what we do with the Leg Saver Hotline, right? Is we'll show up for your appointments with you and help to advocate and make sure that you get the answers you need so you don't leave feeling brushed off and with the doctor not understanding your pain and what you're going through and without a resolution. Heinz?
and I think behind,
One side note to all that, maybe it's just me, but my doctor doesn't want to do anything. He just told me keep walking. But every time I see him, he doesn't ask the pain level. He asks me, am I stopping? You know, so right now I'm not stopping. I see him next week. I'm going to tell him, still not stopping. And he already did ultrasounds and all that.
But do you find that when you say do not stop it, that you're not stopping, do you find that you both have an equal understanding as to what you're going through and what you're experiencing? Or do you feel like there needs to be a better question that needs to be asked about your experience?
I've been through the pain levels or the pain before. I explained it to the doctors before. Right now, the pain is nowhere near what I went through previously. So thankfully, I guess walking is helping.
I think a
Maybe
lot of
that's,
mine comes into play that I have a clotting disorder on top of the PAD because I will develop killer collaterals. I mean, they will tell me you have wonderful collaterals, but then the next visit, they're so full of blood clots that they're doing me no good.
I think we need to maybe think about the pain level here. Maybe does it change with the disease? Because like Jim saying, when he started what he was, we have a gentleman in our group, Mike, 6 months ago, couldn't walk, and now he's line dancing. So the pain level went from a 10 to a 4 now, a 3 or 2. So does that change when we walk, and we
Yeah.
build collaterals and we
Yep.
change our eating habits? We stop smoking. We do all the things we're supposed to do. So do our pain levels change? In some days it's a 10, some days it's a 5.
Well, it can vary when it comes. You can have your good days and your bad days, right, Jim? Where's Jim?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself. Yeah, you're absolutely correct. But I'd like to add that I'm a retired human engineer, and that's the consideration of the operator's capabilities and limitation in the design of an airplane. And we use a Cooper-Harper rating scale, which is subjective, rates things from 1 through 10, but then we also that rating scale also employs a decision tree with yes, nos, and seeking other additional information with the rating scale. So perhaps this is something that you could use besides just 0 through 10. Look into the Cooper-Harper rating scale. That might be a different way of assessing how the person feels about the pain. Just like Marie was saying, my 1 might be her 10. So maybe you could parse it out by having a different type of scale, which has a decision tree, which asks more about the pain level and what you're experiencing. So maybe that's a different approach, but I'm an engineer. I look at things differently, you know. So maybe
Yeah,
that's worth considering.
would that be, so when I walk, I feel the pain level of this, but when I sit, it's a pain level different. When I lay down, it's a pain level different. If
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah, it could be something like that. And what you could do is I'm going up an incline, I'm going down an incline. Do I feel the pain more when I'm making a turn or something like that, going up the stairs? So you're deriving more information instead of just 0 through 10. I go to my PCP. He has that rating scale up on his in every single exam room. And says, Jim, how you feeling today? 1 through 10. I look at it and I says, okay, I'm feeling like a 5 or a 6 or something like that. But I guess I'm an engineer. I'm seeking more information. I design things for people, and I try to seek as much information about why the person wants a design a particular way. Why does he want it? How's he feeling? So I think you want to parse out that information if you can. It's additional information. It's going to be subjective. It's not quantitative. It's going to be qualitative, where he's going to have extra lines to fill in and all that. But as an engineer, that's what I would do. You know, ask for more information as much as possible, and you have to take a look at the information. I know it's not easy, but I think it's worth doing. You know, I think when you talk about pain, if someone asked me, how do I feel about the pain with P.A.D, I would say the first episode that I had, it's probably going through a root canal times 10, because that's the other pain that I've experienced in my life. So if you're able to correlate your P.A.D pain with some other possible pain that you might have had in your life, you know, the dentist is drilling through your teeth. That's a little bit of pain, you know, even though you have Novocaine, you still feel it, you know. So I mean that's the way of approaching it. Try to find something that's comparable, if it does exist, to relate your P.A.D pain, because
Yeah, it's a great idea.
because you know, I lost my wife due to cancer, right? And I saw she was going through a lot of pain. She was taking morphine and all that. I'll never know how she felt. You know, she tells me I'm feeling really bad, but I don't experience that. I see it, but I don't feel it, you know? So you have to use something to compare it to. Like if I asked the pilot, what do you think about this? And he would provide me with rationale for why he wants things a particular way, because he lives doing something a particular way. And he might say, Jim, that's a good idea. On the other hand, he might say, Jim, that's not a good idea. I've been through this situation, and this is what would happen if I went with this design. So I would say Alexis doesn't have an easy job, but I think you have to elicit as much information as you can from the person that you're interviewing. Just like Marie said, her pain, like I said, her 10 pain might be my 5 pain. So everyone's different. So you have to be able to correlate that says, okay, each person's pains are different, you know?
Yeah, and that's why painting the picture, creating a different approach to talking to your patients about pain is really what you're saying is this just isn't enough, because my dad will tell his doctors all day long that he's at a level 4 pain, but it's everybody else's level 15. And they keep brushing him off because of that. But thank you so much. There is a link to that survey in the chat. If you can grab that, I'm going to share it in the group. We also have it shared on YouTube. I believe our producer Joshua has taken care of that. So please participate in the study. We want to support all research that we can, especially when someone like Alexis is so passionate about it. We're going to stick around after this. We're just going to close off YouTube. I'm sorry to all the YouTube viewers, but you can sign up to be in our live studio audience. Just go to email info at padhelp.org, and you can join us here in the live studio audience and continue to hang out. So we'll get you the link if you want to join us now or you want to join us in the future. We'll get you on the calendar. But thanks everyone for joining us on YouTube, and make sure you do fill out the survey.
Thank you.
Thank you for having me.
Thank you.